Hello, and thank you for coming to the McWaters Effect. I'm your host, Matt. Today, we're going to be talking about Syria and how they're being accused of using chemical weapons again. But first, I need you to hit the like and subscribe button. And don't forget to share the video. Helps the channel grow. Now let's get on with the show. This story is from the Washington Post. The UN watchdog cites a new evidence linking Syria army to 2018 chemical weapon attack. An international chemical weapons watchdog on Monday formally accuses Syria of using poisonous gas against opposition forces in 2018 in an attack that occurred a day after militants shot down a Russian warplane in the same area. The report by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is the second in the past year to specifically identify Syrian military units that allegedly used the banned weapons in the fighting rebels groups in the country's civil war. The February 2018 incident took place 5 years after Syria publicly renounced the use of chemical weapons, and nearly a year after President Donald Trump launched a missile strike against Damascus over its use of deadly nerve agents. The UN-chartered OPCW has launched a systematic review of the evidence and dozens of alleged chemical weapon attacks in Syria as it seeks to pinpoint blame. Both Syrian and Russia, a staunch defender of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, have denied any use of chemical weapons by Damascus and have instead accused the rebels of staging attacks and fabricating evidence. The OPCW's 41-nation Executive Council is expected to seek penalties for Syria at a meeting at The Hague this month, including a possible referral to the United Nations Security Council. Now, some of you guys might not know what The Hague is. The Hague is where they actually try war criminals. That's where they took most of the bad guys from the World War II and tried them for war crimes. The OPCW experts reviewed 400 gigabytes of data and interviewed dozens of witnesses in its investigations of February 4th, 2018 attack in Squarab, then a rebel-held town in northern Syria, and the target of the government offensive. After nightfall, a helicopter from Syria elite Tiger forces dropped a pair of makeshift bombs on the town, including at least one that contained chlorine, an industrial compound used by Syrian forces as a chemical weapon, the report says. During ongoing attack against the Squarab, a military helicopter of a Syrian Arab Air Force under the control of the Tiger Force hits eastern Squarab by dropping at least one cylinder. The report said the cylinder ruptured and released a toxic gas of chlorine. At least 12 people were injured. Syrian officials alleged that the rebels group staged the attack, and perhaps by dropping a chlorine canister from the radio tower, which POCW experts note was more than a mile away. The attack occurred a day after the downing of a Russian Su-25 warplane that crashed less than 10 miles from Squarab and killing the pilot. The report, citing military experts, suggested that the chemical attack might have been intended as a punishment for the attack against the Syrian-Russian ally. Russia, which co-sponsored a 2013 agreement with the United States to destroy Syria's chemical weapon stockpile, has been accused by U.S. officials of covering up or even abetting Syria using the chemical weapons. In the years since, while defending Assad behavior at the UN and other forums, the accusation that the Syrian government continues to use chemical weapons against its own people were considered anathema in Moscow, says Hannah Noltz, a researcher at the James Martin Center of Non-Proliferation Studies, Monterey, California nonprofit organization. If proven true, they would have embarrassed Russia's role in the original chemical disarmament effort, while also undermining the path towards Syria's normalization. Okay, I'm going to give my opinion on this, and it's this is the same group that accused them of doing it back in 2011, and we found out they're using evidence that was actually gathered up by a terrorist organization and gave to them, and it was false information. I could be wrong. It could be actually true. I don't know. They have to do more investigation. But this happened in 2018. It's been 3 years. You tell me you haven't found enough evidence to actually be 100% sure that they did this? That dog don't hunt for me, because, 3 years is plenty of time to find out if Syria used chemical weapons. And Russia seems to be pretty adamant they didn't. And if they did, it makes Russia look like an ass. Especially since if Russia actually helped them get rid of the chemical weapons, it definitely makes them look like an ass. Now, if it's the case they didn't do it, it makes OPCW look like they're worthless. It's a government bureaucracy, so it is pretty much worthless. And the fact is, it's taken them 3 years, they still haven't figured it out. I'd say they're never going to figure it out. For all you know, either the people that are combating used it to frame Syria for doing it, or perhaps the Russians did. My guess is the Russians didn't do it. It was probably not the Syrians that did it. It was probably the Civil War combatants that the Syrian and Russian government was actually fighting against that did it. Y'all know my viewpoint while we're in Syria, and it's quite a bit of a coincidence that all of a sudden this comes up in April after we've sent troops in there and we're trying to get a pipeline going from Saudi Arabia to through Syria, through Turkey, all the way to Europe. And that would be natural gas pipeline, and that would lower the gas prices for the Europeans, because they get most of their natural gas, actually all of it, from Russia. So it's no coincidence, in my opinion, that this is going on at the same time everything else is going on. See, us being in Syria, we don't have a legal right to be there, really. So we need to make up a legal right, and that's what this is for right here, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. If anyone thinks something different, let me know at the bottom. Let me know what you think. Alright guys, it's time for my quote of the day. The rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. Quote, John F. Kennedy. Alright guys, we're at the end of the show for today. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit like and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. Peace.